and just talk through it. I have
Oh,
a
okay.
video on.
All right. So I see it as, when I wrote this, I thought of the arrangement as being very much in black and white with just some red highlights. So it starts off, sort of lento, slow, and then it builds and say like, sort of each one of these is like a different, instrument or voice, and then as you progress, it gets more wild and more passion. Kind of, and that's what I liked about that one I heard. It has like,
I am so happy.
yeah, I am so happy because it's dark, but it's exciting at the same time. And is it going to end? Is your happiness going to end? And then this is really like exhilaration and, a wild, like almost a dance, like insane dance. And then it starts, it's a diminuendo. What is that? Where you bring it down,
The volume?
not the volume, but like the whole speed of it. And just before
Is it
like,
the speed of it, but is it also instrumentation?
Instrumentation,
is getting
yeah.
it kind of gets less, and
right,
then more instruments come in.
and then I think like there's a flourish right here, like it's sort of like winding down, but then all of a sudden it comes back up again. And then there's like these little, almost like a pizzicato, sort of different flourishes, and then at the end it basically, diminishes to silence.
And
But-
how long is the piece?
I would say, maybe like it's a sonata, like, so I would say it's like, 5-6 minutes.
I would say 10.
10, okay, 10. And then this is, this I envisioned as the voice, because for me the voice is, it's the human, it touches the human soul. So this was, very, almost like dreamlike, washing on top of everything with, color and how music for me is color. And, sort of like the idea, like almost this is like two lungs, like that are vibrating. And there's some words in here, the fireworks words, and it's like, passion, happiness, kind of like just this explosion, like sort of this, where is that? And so like, this page kind of mirrors what's going on with the vocals. And again, this is, the lungs breathing, like expanding the, blood, the everything, the oral environment of hearing color. And then this is, towards the end and the last breaths, and still beautiful and still like colorful. So, and that was the voice. And then I don't know if this, I played violin, or so this could be violin or piano. And again, and this is kind of a little more cool against the warmth of the voice.
So all three of those are working together.
They're all working
Three
together.
books.
Yeah.
One's the voice, one's the body of instruments, and then this one
It's like
is a particular solo.
yes, this is like the piano,
Violin or piano.
piano.
All right.
But it has a coolness that, coolness that is in contrast to the voice.
And that's all happening at the same time.
And that's happening at the same time. Or, how, like where you sing and then there's just the instrument that either is under it or separate. And they're kind of like, I like these, they're kind of almost like little sea creatures. And so, and it's like sort of this wash of sound again, color, but, you know, as you can see, like the voice is the intensity, and everything else is built around it. So.
All right, and again, that book is the solo instrument, either piano or violin.
Or violin, yes.
Okay.
And then I have the gray one, which I don't have here, but I can ask my friend to send me pictures of it.
Uh-huh.
And so I think it's like 1, 2, like 3, 4, maybe 4 instruments.
And so what is the gray one about?
Well, I haven't seen that in a while, so I would think it's, again,
Could it be poetry? Could it be spoken word?
could be spoken word, or it could be, I love percussion.
Oh, okay.
I think percussion would be a nice thing to, you know, kind of like as a base underneath everything.
Okay, so how many instruments do you actually see?
Well,
or
let's see. I
hear?
have the orange, the green. There's a brown, and then there's a gray. So that's 4 instruments,
Mm-hmm.
and then the voice and piano.
Did you have red here?
I do have. My friend who bought it gave it away, and he doesn't have it anymore. No,
But you have red here.
I have red, so I could do a red book, because I did have a red book.
Well,
I
you
originally
also
had
have
red.
accents of red
Right.
in these
In there. Yes.
in this one, which is the instrumentation.
Right, and that
The-
could possibly be the percussion. What do you think, as a musician?
I think that when you use red, it has to do with the harmonic. What is the cluster of notes that
Mhm.
are causing that color? That's how
Right.
you get color. You don't have color if you're just doing a regular triad. If you add a few different types of notes on there, then you have color that adds color, and also the rhythmic flow of how the notes are going.
Mhm.
Like that piece I did for you. Those kind of things cause
Right.
those kind of flashes of red,
Mhm.
and then the green, I mean, I actually, when I was training my ear and my sensibility to try to wanting to write string arrangements,
Mhm.
I actually drew a tree.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I said, what do the roots sound like?
Mhm.
What color would that be?
Yeah.
And how
that's
would it,
cool. Yeah. Like, yeah.
and because the
And there's
music
that
is
flow
layers.
in layers. Yeah.
it's layers, and so what is the soil? What instrument would sound like soil?
Mhm.
What instrument would sound like green grass? Or
Mhm.
what instrument would sound like the the trunk? What kind of dynamic would the trunk have? What color and what sound?
Right.
Would it be a bassoon, or would it be something? And then the limbs, they're kind of frail,
Right.
but they're flowing.
Flowing.
So that could be like a harp, or
Yeah.
something. So that's how I've been
Cool.
that's
a
how-
really
how I've
great
been,
way to, visualize.
training myself.
Yeah.
And also, I do that at the piano as well. The whole thing about composing was to get to know how many sounds the piano could visualize.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so when I write
But when
Like-
you see this, what do you think? What I mean, what comes to mind when you see these music books?
Well, I would have to really like, I would have to become the books.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't really be theoretically.
Okay.
It would be more emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
I would become the pages.
Mm-hmm.
What the page was feeling, what it was saying to me in an emotional way,
Mm-hmm.
by looking at the colors and the writing and feeling the paper.
Mm-hmm.
See, when I look at the video or whatever, and then I would just, what I would do, I sit at the piano and write. I write it out with pencil on a paper,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would write whatever spirit
Kind of
moves
guides
me.
you. Yeah.
And I would just write until I finished with that page,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt that page
Done.
was saying what it wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
Not done,
Like
but
that,
saying what it was. Just like when you're painting,
Right.
like when it's done because it's saying what it wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would turn the page, and I would do the same thing, and I do it with all the pages, and I would treat this as I could do this, and no matter where those notes fall in the manuscript, when I'm writing, and it could be in a, whatever those notes would fall.
Right.
I wouldn't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking like I'm going to do a soprano part here or
Right.
It's not like that. That's not how I compose. Mm-hmm. So it would just kind of go where it wanted to on the manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I finished that page, the book, then I would go back. That's how I compose.
Mm-hmm.
I do the first flow of intuition.
Right.
The first flow. And then the second flow would be, but you want to get me on here?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So in the second flow would be, I would go transfer over to, one of these other books,
Mm-hmm.
which this book was the, which one is this?
That was the piano.
Okay,
Piano
so I
or
wouldn't do
violin.
Yeah.
Piano
I
or
mean,
violin.
I would intuitively like figure out where next,
Mm-hmm.
But this is the voice, right?
And that's a voice.
So the voice, at this particular work, I would have the voice come in after I did the bulk of the body.
Mm-hmm.
I would do the body first,
Right.
right? This one. I do the body first of this one, just as I said before, right?
Yeah.
So I have all that, and maybe I could even have like a treble, two trebles, or a bass, two bass, and then maybe some other, it depends, like, I don't know how it's going to go,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm going to I always trust that spirit or whoever's helping me write, that at the end it's going to work, right?
Right.
So then I'll go to the voice, and I would see where the voice wanted to be heard within the body of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Because the voice is not going to be heard like a melody like the dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. It's not. It's going to listen,
Mm-hmm.
right? It wants to listen to the body,
Right.
right? And then it's going to say something
Mm-hmm.
at the most perfect moment in the body, with the different colors that are coming out of it that are going to create this harmonic contractions and movement
Mm-hmm.
of softness or depth, and maybe it'll be oohs and ahs, and I'm not sure if you wanted to use words, but you can give me words if you want.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be words.
Mm-hmm.
It could be ahs and oohs,
Mm-hmm.
which is also really pretty. And then maybe, just like when you're looking at an ocean, sometimes you see a fish, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you can say, I see a fish,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like,
Hmm.
you're just looking out there in the ocean and you're hearing it, and then all of a sudden you say, wow, look at that bird,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or something that makes it keep flowing, right?
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to make any kind of like sense as far as like story.
Right.
It just has to flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, to top it off with the cherry on the top, I would put the piano.
Uh-huh.
See, some people would do the piano first. I'm not going to do the piano first. I'm going to do the piano at last,
Mm-hmm.
because the body and the voice are going to tell me how to play.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
And
Yeah.
and then certain parts that beautiful high violin
Mm-hmm.
can come up and perch above everything sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But then the cello, who in the perfect notes pierces through any kind of. You can have a cluster of violins,
Yeah.
but for some
cello.
reason,
Oh.
the cello,
Cello.
can be heard
yeah.
so distinctly.
It's an amazing
Isn't it?
instrument. And it's
Yeah.
it is like, I think it's the closest to the human voice.
Yeah, maybe that's why it could be heard so well.
Yeah, and there's that resonance that is
Mhm.
that the word resonance?
Yeah.
That it just like vibrates through your whole being.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is a beautiful
So,
instrument.
and that's kind of like what you did, because when you have the whole body of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you did was you had these cellists or
Mhm.
parts that are
Soaring
coming
out.
out, even if you have a lot of, you know, colors and lines and everything on the page. You all have that one instrument that kind of prevails,
Mhm.
and that's where the cello's going to come out. That's going to
Oh,
be
I
the,
like that.
that's
yeah,
going to be the
yeah,
last
yeah.
thing that comes out,
I like that.
right?
Yeah, I like that.
And then after that, even if we don't have a book, but we do have the books, because the percussion can be the throttle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's throttling and pulsating through certain parts, not the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
No,
No.
you couldn't have it through the whole thing. You'd have like here.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the percussion.
Yeah.
She just all of a sudden like showed up.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, like the percussion just came, started to try to take over, but then the color came back. These are beautiful,
Oh, thank you.
you know.
They,
And then the percussions try to hold everything together again, but
uh-huh.
It had too much more to say, right? It had a lot of things to say. You might want to wait to the very end to have so much to say, and then you can have people saying different things all at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden
Oh.
everybody had their say,
Right.
because the piece was compassionate
Mm-hmm.
enough to let everybody have their say at the
That would
end.
be cool, like have the
And then-
musicians say.
Yeah,
Like-
and then after that,
Yeah.
there's
I like that.
silence. There's
I like that.
silence. There's
Yeah.
nothing. Because everything comes out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
Whoa,
There's your composition.
you did it.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! I like it.
Okay.
I like it. Wow.
All
Very
right,
good.